The room was silent except for the faint scratching of a pen. Historian James Holland sat before a mountain of notes, old letters, and faded photographs. The world outside buzzed with noise, political divides, misinformation, fear of the future, but here, inside his small study, there was only the past. Yet, as James knew all too well, the past was never really gone. It echoed, like distant artillery fire, reminding us of what we once endured, and what we're dangerously close to repeating. He leaned back, gazing at a sepia photo of a smiling soldier, his grandfather, Thomas Holland, taken somewhere in Normandy, 1944. "You saw the worst of humanity," James whispered, and still believed in hope. The thought tightened his throat. He wasn't just writing another history book. He was writing a warning. James had spent decades studying World War II, not the battles alone, but the hearts of the people who lived through it. Farmers who hid strangers in barns. Nurses who treated enemies. Teenagers who became resistance fighters. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things in extraordinary times. He often wondered what they'd think of the world now, fractured, angry, drowning in outrage and division. One afternoon, while preparing for a talk titled, "What World War II Teaches Us About Today," James received an email. It was from a young student named Emily Turner. She was 23, studying political science, and her message was simple. "Greater than, Mr. Holland, I don't understand how people back then found the courage to fight for each other. Today, everyone seems to fight only for themselves. Can you explain what we've lost?" The words haunted him. Emily's question wasn't academic, it was personal. It was the question of a generation disillusioned by greed, corruption, and mistrust. When the day of his talk arrived, the auditorium was packed. The crowd was mixed: students, veterans, scholars, and everyday people searching for meaning. James walked to the podium slowly, clutching a stack of papers. But as he looked at the audience, he realized he wouldn't be reading from his notes. This message needed to come from the heart. He began quietly, his voice almost trembling. "My grandfather fought in World War II. He was 19 when he landed on the beaches of Normandy. 19. The same age as many of you sitting here. He wasn't fighting for glory or politics. He was fighting for an idea, that decency, truth, and compassion were worth protecting, even if it meant dying for them." The room fell completely still. James paused, scanning faces. We often look at history as a collection of dates and battles. But World War II wasn't just fought with tanks and bombs, it was fought with belief. People believed that the world could be better. They believed in each other. That's what made them dangerous to tyranny. He began to tell stories, real stories. About a young German soldier who surrendered rather than shoot civilians. About a British nurse who smuggled children out of occupied France under the cover of night. About the African American soldiers who fought for freedom abroad even when they didn't fully have it at home. War, James continued, is not just about who wins. It's about what we learn. And what we forget. He looked directly at Emily, who sat in the front row, tears glimmering in her eyes. Today, we live in comfort those people could barely imagine. But comfort breeds complacency. We've forgotten that freedom is fragile, that truth must be defended, and that empathy is not weakness, it's strength. He stepped away from the podium. We're fighting new wars now. Not with bullets, but with lies, division, and apathy. And the enemy isn't one country or leader, it's the part of ourselves that stops caring. A ripple of murmurs moved through the audience. People were listening, not just hearing, but feeling. James ended with a story that had shaped his life. After the war, his grandfather returned home and planted an apple tree in the family garden. "He told my father," James said softly, "I plant this so you'll remember that life grows back, even after destruction." That tree still stands today. Every autumn, it bears fruit. And every year, I pick one apple and remind myself, survival is not the lesson, humanity is. When the applause came, it was thunderous. But what mattered more to James were the tears, the quiet sniffles, the bowed heads, the moments of reflection that spread through the hall like a silent prayer. After the event, Emily approached him. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking. "I think I understand now. It's not just history, it's a mirror." James smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Exactly. And what we see in it depends on who we choose to be." That night, as he walked home under a cold drizzle, James thought about the apple tree, his grandfather, and the millions who never came home from that war. He thought about the fragile line between chaos and peace, how easily the lessons of the past can fade when we stop telling their stories. He knew then what his next book would be called: Echoes of Courage, How the Past Can Save the Future. Because World War II, for all its horror, was also a story of resilience, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, humanity's greatest weapon is not hate, but hope.